sorry. Basically, every single video that I've done for the last year or two has all come back to bite me. Almost everything. Other than United, of course, they're still bad. But almost everything. And then Arsenal. The boundless mediocrity of Crystal Palace. Well, congrats, someone in the FA Cup. You now hate me. Tottenham Hotspur, the most successful failed football club. Spurs fans, I'm sorry. Paris Saint-Germain, football's biggest failure. PSG fans, I don't care. Football this year has been kind of weird, and as someone that's made a company that's based on famous goals, I'm a big fan of what's happened this year, really. This is kind of a review on this year, so let's just break it down, shall we? Oh yeah, also before I forget, Chelsea. The controversial collapse of Chelsea. I mean, you won a Conference League. I'm not really going to accept that as being some mad success, but it is winning something, right? But yes, I did say Maresca would be sacked by Christmas, so I guess that I need to eat humble pie on that one. I'm still not convinced by it. I'm sorry. I just don't rate him. I'm sorry. Now let's get into PSG. This one probably shouldn't take too long because I didn't even watch the final. I genuinely didn't care. I was in České Budějovice. I was in a half marathon event. I ran it 1 hour 34, by the way, if you're curious in my time, which is actually pretty fast. And by the time the final happened, I was already driving home, a 3-hour trip to get back home to where I live in Olomouc. So I didn't even watch the final. And I wasn't, like, bothered, really. I don't know if it's because there's no English teams involved. I don't know any friends, man, that's PSG fans. I don't know anyone that I know that are Inter Milan fans. I have no feeling towards any of these two teams. If I could pick any team to win, I probably would have picked Inter Milan because I like more of an underdog. PSG won 5-0, one of the biggest margins of a final in Champions League history, probably. And on surface, it should be a pretty good story. A team full of variety of amounts of young players, up-and-coming talents that play some really good, attractive football, and a manager which is charismatic and is likable, and a team which has never won a Champions League, and of course, has spent a lot of years trying to get this over the line, and he finally did it. And the downside is, of course, the backstory of the Qatari ownership, and I guess along the same lines as Manchester City, where City and PSG are seen as these new up-and-coming elite clubs backed by oil money by the Middle East. A team which Newcastle is, of course, entering down that line. Some people care about that more than others. Some people don't care about it at all. The one thing I will say is that Desire Doué is probably a player which you never even heard of for 90% of casuals or just people. Like, no one have heard of this guy 12 months ago, and now he's seen as one of the best players in the world. Crazy how football works. And it is really funny how Mbappe has been there for all these years. He had Neymar, he had Messi, he had all these players, and the second that Mbappe leaves, they win the Champions League. If I was him, I'd throw up a little bit. And this has got nothing to do with football, but the response that happened in Paris when he won it. I mean, there's people that are seriously injured and found dead in Paris because of riots in the streets. I don't know how, but from what my judgment is, I think it was a lot of opportunists that just saw a moment of chaos to take advantage, really. And that is a real shame because it takes what should be a historic moment in the city of Paris to turn into what is a complete disaster. And then there's Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, Spurs is a team which I've done a few videos on, and therefore some of their fans hate me, but it's fine because every other club's fan base does. The funny thing about being a YouTuber and doing videos about talk about football clubs is that every single football club thinks that you hate them and have some sort of agenda against them, which is funny. Therefore, in this example, I have an agenda to every single club in the world. If your club is doing really bad, I will probably do a video commenting on it. I personally find it interesting, especially if people who aren't really keep up to date, they don't really know what's going on. It's also a more interesting topic for people that don't really know what's going on to find out what the hell has happened. One of the best examples is when Olympique Lyon was almost in a relegation battle last year out of nowhere. But yes, Spurs, after 17 years, they finally won a trophy. Now I'm hearing that Ange could be sacked maybe, but it's not been completely confirmed. I really hope for God almighty that he stays, because I just like him as a person, and I think that he deserves a chance to have another go at it. And maybe by January, if they're still, in the bottom half, then maybe make a move then. I say he definitely deserves a chance. I actually know quite a few friends, man, that are Spurs fans, which you can't even understand how big of a moment this really is, because this has now changed the entire identity of the club, of what it has been known to be for the last near decade. They are no longer losers. They are no longer, third in a two-horse race. They are now winners. No matter if you think if the Europa League is not even a big trophy or not, who cares? This year is a year that basically all of the curses ended for most teams. Harry Kane won a trophy and Tottenham won a trophy in the same season. My God, if there was a European Championships or the World Cup going on right now, I would put my house on the line for England winning. And then there's Crystal Palace, which their entire meme has always been their 11th or 12th forever until eternity. My favorite tweet like a month or two ago was that Palace is so Palace. I think they had at this stage of the year like 11 wins, 11 draws and 11 losses, and they are like 12th. It is beautiful how consistent they are. This year they started off really poorly after last year ending off amazing, and they've done it again. They started poorly and ended the year in amazing fashion. Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup is so important to almost every club in the country. The conversation that you always have with your friends, if you aren't a fan of a club that is a top 6 club, is that you say, if you can see your team win the FA Cup once in your life, you can die happy. If Burnley ever wins the FA Cup, I will cry for weeks. I can't even imagine being a Crystal Palace fan right now and the emotions that you must feel. And it's not like it's like a lucky win. Like when Portsmouth won the FA Cup back in 2008, they played Cardiff City. So like at least guaranteed one of those two teams would have a historic day. And it felt like it was a guaranteed and almost a bit too easy in the final. But they had to beat Manchester City. Just like how when Wigan Athletic won it back in 2013, they had to also beat Manchester City, and it made it an even more insane experience. Palace has lived the dream of almost every single fan in the country if you want part of the top 6. Someone from Wolverhampton, you're someone from, I don't know, Brighton, you have much more of a dream now that maybe that can be you. It's actually possible. And these stories are important. These stories are important to give people hope that maybe things can change. In the same way that when Luton Town was in National League and they went up to Premier League, it gave every single team in the country hope that maybe that could be your club too, with the correct amount of guidance and influence and culture put into your football club. You can maybe say the same thing about Wrexham, but that was mainly based on, a massive boost in terms of finances based on new owners and the new links that comes with it. Luton Town was the real fairy tale story because they didn't have some massive boost of finances. They just had hard work and a good culture. Ipswich Town, Brentford can also be seen as the same thing as well. So Palace winning the FA Cup is such a bigger deal for football than you could ever imagine. There's also stories in football across other countries that's also been amazing to see. Seeing Bologna winning the Italian Cup is amazing. Seeing Stuttgart win the DFB Pokal is also amazing. Go Ahead Eagles, a team in Netherlands that sounded like it was made from Pez, won the Dutch Cup. And Christ, I almost forgot, Newcastle also won their first trophy in like 70 years. But Newcastle was seen as a bit more obvious because of, the boost in finances based on new Saudi ownership, which for some people may make it a bit more less of a fairy tale. But if you're a Newcastle United fan, just like how PSG fans that was there from the start of before the new ownership, and just like Man City fans before the new ownership, you can't tell them that they can't enjoy this moment. So yeah, this video is needed as an apology. I'm still going to do the same videos. Let's hope that I can jinx you for next season. So who do I think the next team would be to win something a bit more new? You know who I would love to see win something next year? Like, genuinely love? Everton. Genuinely, I would love to see Everton win the FA Cup. That would be beautiful to see. Also, Sunderland are back, by the way. So I hope you accept my apology. Go away now.